BikeRadar's Bike of the Year is over for another year, and in the road side of things we've tested 75 bikes back to back over the last 6 months. And in this category, what came out on top was Ribble's Endurance SL. This bike brand has been around for a long time. In fact, it's been around since 1897. That's over 100 years. But more recently, they've become, the buzzword for great value, fairly steady, fairly simple bikes. The default winter training bike in the UK is the Ribble, but it wasn't always this way. Ribble went from being a small local shop in the Ribble Valley in Lancashire, and it grew and grew into becoming one of Britain's most prestige frame builders. In the era of steel, these guys were up there with the very best. And some of Britain's greatest ever riders have all ridden on a Ribble at some point. We're talking Brad Wiggins, we're talking Geraint Thomas, even our record hero Chris Boardman, he was one time sponsored by Ribble. More recently, there's been big changes at Ribble. They've brought in a design team with lots of bold new ideas. They've brought in engineers to back that up, and they're properly developing bikes now. Now, the Endurance SL is just one part of that. We've got the CGR range, which is kind of their all-road kind of category. The titanium CGR that we had in, we just thought that was a superb bike as well. But this Endurance SL is going to appeal to a lot of people. The new Endurance SL chassis has been 2 years in the making. There's been 2 years of development time that's gone into this bike. And then if you look at the frame and the fork, then you'll see a lot of design cues that you can see where they've been influenced from other people. If you look at the back end, they've got this super drop stay design where it kind of flattens off at the top, blends seamlessly into the seat tube. The seat post is a D-shaped post, that was pioneered by Giant, but we now see it on Cervelo, we see it on BMC, we see it on Specialized. They're in good company here with a lot of these design touches they're using. You look up front and the fork is particularly interesting. It's a straight bladed fork, but the crown slightly steps forward from the head tube in a quite curvaceous way, then it bows out. You look at the fork and that wouldn't be out of place on a Pinarello Dogma. So they're bringing in design influences from a lot of different places and combining it into a bike that actually looks really good in the flesh. As with all Ribble's bikes, with your Endurance SL, you can buy one of many standard packages, or more interestingly, you can go in and you can use Ribble's Bike Builder. This just allows you to make certain specification choices, like on the group set, we opted for full Ultegra, but we went for a little bit of a more sporty gearing, so we went 52-36 with an 1128 cassette, but we could tune it to the sort of riding we were going to do, and that's quite a nice feature. It gives you an added reason to go direct rather than you make your choice on the bike and that's that. At least with Ribble you get the chance just to play around with a few things, make your own choices. There are plenty of different wheel options, the bar options, the saddle, so you can really tune the bike to how you want it. And what we ended up with at the price was a really good value package. We've got full Ultegra throughout, there's no compromises there. Wheels wise, we didn't really deviate too much from what the standard build is. We opted for the Cassirium Elites. This is the new shape Cassirium. It's got a wider internal diameter, so it's 19mm width. This is then shod with Mavic's own Ixion tyres in a 28C, tubeless ready, and that just makes for a really nice, light and comfortable wheel set. It's around 1600 grams a pair. Mavic's latest generation of tyres are a huge improvement from their early ones. They're now kind of sticky, they're supple. Being tubeless, you can play around with tyre pressures, so if you're riding in somewhere particularly rough, you can take a little bit of air out, extract a little bit more comfort. And we just ended up with a bike that's just so usable as a big miley to big distance bike. Plenty of built-in comfort, great level of kit, really nice ride, and surprisingly kind of snappy handling. For a bike called an Endurance, we would expecting it to be more about stability, more, almost that kind of lazy kind of mile-eating bike that you can just cruise around on. You'll flow through corners rather than dive bomb or thrash it or whatever. But this Ribble have never really got away from their full-on racing heritage. They've always been about making race bikes, and even though this is called the Endurance, it's at the sporty end of an endurance bike. And that makes it a real fun package, a real good value, comfortable, yet exciting bike. So the Endurance SL, it looks thoroughly modern, it's got some great design touches on it, but Ribble still haven't got away from the fact that this is going to be a bike that's going to be predominantly bought by British riders for British conditions. So yeah, you've got this swoopy, angular, beautiful carbon frame, but they've hidden mudguard mounts in there. So, this is a bike that can be used in all weathers. The tyre clearance is very generous, again, so that British riders can experiment with their tyre choice for if you live in areas with particularly rough surfaces. It's just a really nicely well thought out bike, and that transfers into the spec. We're talking the full Ultegra, great choice. Solid, dependable group set, shifting's always slick, smooth, great braking. They haven't skimped on anything there. There's no cheap rotors on this bike. It's got ice tech. We've got the Maverick Assyrian wheels, which is a great set of alloy wheels, thoroughly modern shape, beautifully built, great tyres. And then the finishing components too. You've got Ribble's own D-shaped carbon seat post, which adds a little bit more compliance to it. That's topped up with a Physic Arione saddle. That long, narrow, yet comfortable Arione saddle isn't the first choice for most people now. Now the fashion seems to have shifted the other way for everybody going to short saddles. They're not getting away from it. The Arione is a really, really good saddle, always has been, and it remains so. Up front, we've got a handlebar and stem from Level, really nice alloy units, well finished, complement the bike well. So you all round, for your £2,700 and some change, this is a really, really strong package, great value, no compromise for its level of bike, and it fully deserves its award.